This video is designed to help you plot the nutrient data for the accompanying lab. The first step you have to do is set up your data. And in order to make the plotting easier, this should be done in the following order. You want your data set up like it's shown here. The nutrient data is in the leftmost column, and the depth data is next to it in the next right column. The reason for this is that Excel expects to see x-axis data in the left-hand column and the y-axis data in the column to the right of it. Now you also see there's another number here at C2, column C2, and that cell indicates the concentration you obtained, and that indicates the data value that you obtained from the Elizabeth River surface sample. The first step you need to do is to indicate what data you're going to plot. And so I've dragged my cursor over these two columns. You have to tell it what you next wanted to do, and so you go up to the Insert on the menu, and that will bring up a list of actions that you can do. The action that you want to do in this case is you want to do a graph. And the graph that you want to do is an XY scatter plot. And the type of graph in that XY scatter plot is you want a smooth line, but with the data points as markers. And so I choose that. This is what your command ribbon will look like in a PC. And look at what happens. Immediately, this comes up with a chart for us. But let's notice a couple of things about the chart. One thing about it is that the depth labels are in the wrong direction. We want 0 to be at the top of the chart, and we want 6,000, which is deep, to be at the bottom of the chart. So how can we fix this? The first step is we click on the chart, and then the next thing we do is we click on the Y value axis. If you right-click on that, that will bring up a menu. If you click Format the Axis, it brings up a side tab where you can do your selections, and you have a variety of options here. The option that we want is at the bottom of that list, and it is values in reverse order. If I click on that, it immediately changes our graph. And now what we have is we have the 0 value at the top descending to the 6,000 meters at the bottom. But you'll also notice that we have a small problem with our x-axis. And the x-axis starts at a minus 0.5, and we don't really want that. What we want is we want it to start at 0. And so when we click on it, you see that that Format Axis option is still open. If it isn't for you, just right-click again, go to Format Axis, and you will see this pop up. And you will note that the minimum here is at the minus 0.5, and we actually want that simply to be 0. And once we click on that and we come back out, you'll see the slide is fixed. A PC works the same way, but with a slightly different format, as you see here. So if we look at this graph, one of the things we notice is that there are no values on that graph for the axis labels. And so we have to add axis labels. We do that, first of all, we have to click the chart. And when we click the chart, you will notice that it's brought up our chart options here. And the next thing we do is we're going to click on the chart design and go over to the Add chart element. If we click the down arrow there, you see we can add axes, titles, chart titles, all kinds of things. So let's go to the axis title and click on the primary horizontal. And that would be, let's say it's the nitrogen concentration. Okay, and we can add the value there. We also see that what we're going to need is we're going to need to add, still clicking on the chart, we're going to need to add the y-axis. And so we come back here to chart element and back to axis titles, and we have a primary vertical title. And there we go, and we can again click, select it, and add depth in meters with a chart title, and this would be nutrient concentration. In the PC, we pick from chart tools under axis titles, and we then can pick our horizontal and then our vertical titles. And there we have a properly labeled chart of nutrient concentrations. Now, you have to add an additional point. And how exactly will you be doing that? The next step we do is we're going to add the additional point for the Elizabeth River surface water that you took. This may be a bit counterintuitive. What you do first is you click on your data series to select that, and then you right-click and come down to the Select Data. That brings up a dialog box. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to change the name here for Series 1, and let's call that Ocean Water, or whatever name you choose. And that's our original data. We now have to add that singular point for the Elizabeth River, and we can also give it a name. We can call that the Elizabeth River. And we need to tell the program where that data point is located. So we come here and we click our sample, data, and it comes up, it tells us it is in sheet 1 and it's at the C2 point. Now we have to come in and tell it where our Y value, our depth value. Since that was a surface water sample, the depth value was a 0. And now when we click OK, you will see it's added the point. One of the problems, though, is we don't know what that blue line or what that red means. So we come back to chart design. We come over to add a chart element, and we have to look at we come over to chart element and we look at legends, because this is our legend, and let's add the legend to the right. And there we go. Now our chart is complete, and it shows what the nutrient profile looks like and how our surface water sample compares to that oceanic water. This is what you will do for each and every nutrient concentration data set that you've collected. Thank you.